Welcome everyone again to the latest episode of All on the Table. I'm Phatter Phil with a PH, and
I am Fat Adam.
Fat Adam. This week we are going to be covering the Fantasy Flight Games release and the latest edition of the Star Wars role-playing game. So let us venture in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago.
I knew you were going to go there.
I wonder what happens now in a galaxy
opening.
far, far away, though.
Probably a lot of avoiding our race.
What? No, humans are already propagated throughout the galaxy.
I mean in real life. There's a reason we've never been touched yet.
Maybe.
We have latent powers.
There's several theories about it, though.
Well, did you ever see the one theory about how it's because they believe that we are probably one of the most poisonous creatures out there? One of the most deadly aliens?
Oh, maybe.
Because we can chew flesh from bone, I
know we breathe.
Our air might be poison.
Yeah. But, you know. Anyways.
Who was it? I'm sorry, it's very off topic to start, but I promise we'll get back on topic. But who was it who said that, I think it was a Reddit comment, who said, what if we're just slowly breathing in? The material that we're slowly breathing in is actually just slowly lighting us on fire from the inside out. That's why we have a lifespan. Oxygen is just slowly burning our blood.
I don't know. Maybe. Whatever.
Who knows? But in this game,
oxidization.
We have Jedis. Who gives a shit about our...
Not necessarily. Depends what version. So, Star Wars has released three different RPGs for Star Wars so far, with another one coming out very soon for The Force Awakens, based on the new movie. It's all stuff with it, so you'll be able to play probably some of the new. There's probably like a new fighter pilot class that pilots the new badass black X-wings, and like Poe Dameron does, and maybe like another Force user like Rey, or like a scavenger like Rey.
Probably get to play straight up clone troopers too.
Well, they're not clones anymore.
Yeah, true. Just straight up stormtroopers.
Yeah, you'd probably play, and you might be an option to play a Knight of Ren.
Oh, that would be fun.
Even though we don't know much about them, but But the first one that came out, I actually don't have a physical copy of. I don't own it. It's called Edge of Empire. I was part of the beta testing, and I had a lot of feedback from Fantasy Flight Games. Actually, had a lot of contact with them at the local game store here. I was play testing it. It's good. It's fun. It's the big white book with red lettering on it. There's a picture of the Falcon just flying through the
That's the one I'm most familiar with, actually. I'm surprised you don't own it.
It's the oldest one. I only had the copy of the Beta Core rulebook, which is like a soft cover. I couldn't find it in time. But basically what they've done is with each book they've released, which honestly is an amazingly clever cash grab, they go with a different theme of Star Wars.
Of course.
So the first one is Edge of Empire, and it deals with the gray side of the galaxy. Hut space and scoundrels, bounty hunters, all the Han Solo types, like
basically everybody who doesn't fall under a specific agenda.
People who aren't necessarily part of the Empire, or not necessarily part of the Rebel Alliance, and who aren't really, official in any means or capacity. They
just wants to get paid.
They live on the fringes of space.
Yeah. Can you play as a Hut?
Yes, but that's a later supplement that was released with. But
yeah,
it'd be also difficult
show you later, if you can't move much.
Actually, you'd be surprised how mobile huts are. They even have a supplement that had like this kind of weird full plate that huts wear. It's kind of like this weird exoskeleton casing that they put on, and it amplifies their movement and stuff, and they turn into melee monstrosities. Oh yeah, man, trust me, in a fucking fight, you'd be surprised how boss a Hut is. Like Jabba, you understand, Jabba was a fat old gangster.
True.
Right?
He was used to everything being done for him.
He's like, when you see him, he's all Caligula, like he's just laying there, he's got a slave and all his minions next to him, like, he is in the prime of his power, he doesn't have to do anything anymore, but...
So we never really saw, like, a young Hut.
Well, in the expanded universe novels, there was actually a Hutt Jedi trained at Luke's academy later on.
Jesus. Okay.
And but that's no longer canon.
Oh. I don't have to read that, apparently.
But all this stuff is canon now.
Yes.
So it's got the big old Disney seal of approval on it.
Oh, Jesus.
Where is it? It's on Force of Destiny. Yeah.
I will say I was extremely disappointed at first when Disney
right
purchased
here.
Star Wars.
Right here. The big old Disney seal of approval.
I was upset when Disney first purchased Star Wars. However,
I was never upset.
Once I saw what they did with the movie...
No, I was never upset. Because now...
Because Lucas already fucked the previous
Lucas
movies.
no longer owns Star Wars, and there isn't anyone to say no anymore.
You mean people are allowed to say no?
No.
Or like Lucas...
No.
Oh, I get what you mean, sorry. Lucas isn't around to just go, nope,
Exactly.
and do whatever the hell he wants.
Exactly. It's not solely his vision. I mean, look... I'm glad he invented Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all of that, and George Lucas is a visionary, but honestly, and this is coming from the truth, this is the truth from me, from my opinion, everything that I loved about Star Wars, George Lucas had next to nothing to do with.
True. I mean, one of our favorite all-time characters wasn't even auditioning for the role. He just got cast because he happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Well, no, it's because Lucas didn't direct 2 episodes. He didn't direct Empire. He didn't direct Jedi. He had barely any input on any of it. All of the expanded universe stuff, for the most part, Lucas was not involved, and it's shit I love. My personal favorite... original canon Star Wars thing was the Star Wars Legacy, which takes place 130 years after Return of the Jedi, and it's an ancestor of Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
And he used to be a Jedi, and then the Sith showed up and attacked his Jedi Academy and left him to die in space, and he got picked up by space pirates, and they raised him. And it turns out he's like just this ridiculous scoundrel who can wield a lightsaber and a little bit of force power. And he's addicted to death sticks because it kills his connection to the Force, and he doesn't get reminded of his old life and his parents who are dead and everything. And the whole time the Sith comes back and takes over the entire galaxy, which has become a new empire, but it's a good empire, well, neutral empire. And the empire has a neutral, kind of like a neutral Jedi force, like a police force called the Imperial Knights, and they all wear like a hybrid Jedi robe stormtrooper uniform. It's like red chest pieces and like the deep crimson robes, and they all wield silver lightsabers.
Jesus.
Like all their lightsabers look the same because it's a uniform, and their task is to serve the Emperor as he is the incarnation of the living Force. And the Star Wars Legacy saga, I have all of it on comic. It's a comic. I have all of it at home. I have all the trades, and it's like 10 volumes.
Jesus.
That was 10 books, which was volume 1. And then when the story of Kate Skywalker is over, immediately after starts the story of another girl whose last name is Solo. But that one only was, and it was made by Dark Horse, and that one only got 2 volumes. And then Disney bought Star Wars and told Dark Horse you can't do the comics anymore because we also own Marvel, and Marvel's going to do our comics.
True.
So sadly we didn't get to see what the real plans were for the next volume of Star Wars Legacy. The first volume of Star Wars Legacy was great. I loved it. Thought it was fantastic. I read it all the time.
Oh.
But
so the
yeah,
Scoundrels.
Huh?
Game 1, Scoundrels.
Yeah, the first volume is Scoundrels, Edge of Empire. The second volume is this big red book with white lettering. It's called Age of Rebellion. And this is for games that are specifically set in the era of the Rebel Alliance. As you can see, you've got Leia on the cover and Luke and, standing all nice and defiant there, and X-Wing with I believe is the Death Star run. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of more professions that involve like starfighter pilots, military things, ambassadors, things of the sort. And then finally, the most recent one that has been released is called Star Wars Force and Destiny. And of course, you've got OB and Vader on the cover here. And on the back, you've got Yoda sitting in the swamps of Dagobah. And this book is about playing Force users in any era of Star Wars. More specifically, about Force users who may have escaped Order 66, former Jedi, people who don't exactly have the right training. But all of these...
not prepared, necessarily.
All of these other books didn't have Jedi classes before Force and Destiny came out, but they did have different trees, which we'll talk about when we talk about the mechanics of the game. They had a specific tree that you could take if you wanted to be just a Force user, but they were like fringe Force users. They weren't specific.
Okay.
Whereas Force and Destiny is nothing but Force user classes.
Okay.
And lightsabers are fucking broken. As well they should be in the hands of a master.
I was going to say.
So,
weapons that tends to be broken.
The system is great. It's kind of unusual, as with other RPG systems.
What do you mean, Phil?
Well, the way the dice are made, there's no numerical value listed on them. I'm going to grab one of each here. There are seven dice for the system. Just hold them out here. Like this. Use the pretty purple one here. There. Down that goes. I'll grab it later. There are 7 dice for the system.
Nice.
There's positive set of dice and negative set of dice, and then there's the Force dice. So the positive dice are blue, which is a boost dice. Green, which is your standard dice roll dice. Yellow, which is your enhancement dice, which allow you to enhance your green dice.
You're squinting again.
And then for the negative side, you have black, which is your kind of a difficulty die type thing. Purple, which is your standard adversarial die. And red, which is basically like a danger type of die. They do have specific names. I'll go through them in a minute. And then finally you have your Force die, which has these little pips on it. Now, each of these dice have differing symbols. So I'll just grab these two here and show them real close. You'll see here these little symbols. The little explosion and then the Force symbol. And then on the bad dice, you'll have the little triangle, and the little Empire symbol there. And then on the purple and on the yellow and red die, you have 2 extra symbols. This is the Triumph symbol on the yellow die here, and then finally you have the Despair symbol on the red die.
What happens if you roll a Triumph and a Despair?
Both effects happen.
Okay.
And then finally, the white Force die just has little pips. It just has little red or white pips, depending on what you're rolling. Now, how the system works, essentially, with the dice, is for the most part, you'll be rolling green and purple dice. And green and purple dice are just the standard dice for the rolls. So if you're rolling a stat, you're usually rolling greens. Purples, you roll a number of purples equal to the difficulty of the game, of the roll. So, let me just look them up here. So the blue is called the boost dice, the green is called ability, the yellow is called proficiency, the black is called setback, the purple is called difficulty, and the red is called challenge. And then finally you have the Force die, which is the white one. Now, each of the different symbols means a different thing. There is a chart in the book if you don't have the special Star Wars dice that you can just consult to roll regular dice, and it'll tell you what the number means.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So it's good for either user.
Yep. Yeah, you don't need to buy the
Although
dice.
I imagine the dice probably aren't overly expensive.
They are actually.
Really?
Yeah, a set of these dice, which I believe is 3 green, 3 purple, 3 green, 3 purple, a red, 2 yellow, 2 blue, and 2 black, and a force die, and it's about $23.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's also a $5 app you can buy that has the dice in them, and it's like a randomizer, and you can even set like a vibration on the app, and just it rolls the dice for you, making Star Wars sound effects.
Okay,
now,
that's not bad. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it works fairly well.
Is it licensed through Fantasy Flight, though?
Yep.
Okay,
it's
good.
licensed through Fantasy Flight. It's licensed through.
Make sure I'm not giving my information to anybody I shouldn't.
Now, how the system actually rolls is you look at the stat you need to roll. So if you're rolling your brawl, let's say you need to lift something and it's difficult. So you roll your brawl. So let's say you have a 3 brawl. Let's say you're particularly strong. So then you grab 3 dice. Then the GM, based on how difficult it is to lift that damn thing, will assign you a number of difficulty dice, which are purple. So let's say it's average, which is 2.
Okay.
So you'll get 3 green dice and 2 purple dice, and this is your average roll. So you roll them, and then you look up the symbols that are listed on the dice. So in this case, I rolled 2 of the explosions, 2 of the force symbols, 1 of the setbacks, and 2 of the despair. I need to look at that.
Yes, sir.
Count it properly, so I can look at it properly. There we go. So yeah, so the explosions are called successes, and the little pit triangles are called the failures. Then you have the force symbols are called advantage, and then the empire symbols are called threats. Now, what you do is you cancel out the symbols that match and don't match. So in this case, I got 2 advantage and 2 threat. Those cancel out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got 2 successes and 1 failure. So 1 failure cancels out 1 success, which leaves me with 1 success overall, which means I have successfully performed my task. And that's the first easy part. Let's say I had rolled that differently, and I had only rolled 1 empire symbol, so only 1 threat symbol. So that means I would have ended up with 1 success and 1 threat. Those together, the success means I accomplish my task.
Yeah.
But then the threat happens, and the advantage happens. So the DM gets to throw a bone at you, altering the narrative that something extra could happen from you. Not only did you lift it up, you found something underneath what you lifted that might be useful, like a stem pack or some ammo or something.
Okay. Some sort of some surprise, but in a positive way. If it's an advantage, and if it's a disadvantage.
Now, if I'd have done it the other way,
maybe the rock breaks in half and hits a friend.
Well, sort of. Let's say I'd have gotten my success, but I'd ended up with a threat instead of an advantage. I would have successfully lifted it, but let's say if I would have gotten the threat, that means that some bad consequence happened. So I successfully lifted it and got it out of the way, but I made too much noise and alerted nearby enemies. Or the passage is blocked, or is going to be difficult to navigate, or something of the sort.
Okay.
There's some type of negative consequence to what you've done. Now, those are for those dice. I would have rolled more failures, obviously I would have failed the task. If I rolled failures and threat together, then not only did I fail the task, but it escalates the difficulty. The next part of the roll, let's say I was doing that, but for some reason or another, there's some kind of environmental problem. Let's say I'm trying to lift it but it's raining and the surface is slippery and I can't get a good grip, then the DM might throw one of the black dice at me, which is a setback die. It means that, so these only have negative pips on them, so it means that something's a little bit harder for me to do. Or let's say that turns out that I have a pair of strength enhancement gloves on me that make it easier for me to do, or I have to take a shot of steroid or something like that. Maybe instead then he'll give me a boost die, which has only positive pips.
Okay.
And then that makes the task easier for me.
Is there a blank module on every die as well?
Yes. Sometimes a die will roll blank. Just the only ones that don't have a blank on them, I believe, are the force die. Now, that's all well and good. But let's say I'm a little bit better at lifting. Let's say I have a background in athleticism. Let's say I have a point in athletics on my character sheet. I'll use my brawn, of course, which is a 3. The difficulty is still a 2. However, I have a point in athletics. I'm good at lifting things. Instead of adding another die to my 3 brawn, 1 athletics, the system replaces one of these green dice with the yellow die. The yellow die has more positive pips on it, only 1 blank space, and it has the triumph symbol. The triumph symbol that I showed earlier is basically enables you to critically succeed at something. So when I roll, I have a better chance of not only succeeding, but of doing something really, really good for myself. So in this case,
Like
in this
in
roll,
case.
I have a success and a failure. I have a advantage on 1 die and 2 advantage on another die, and absolutely no threats. So I didn't succeed, but something did go my way.
Something quite advantageous.
Something quite advantageous went my way. So basically these mechanics allow the DM to alter the narrative based on your role, making things a little bit more cinematic, a little bit more exciting, or a little more dangerous, things of the sort. So let's say I have all these, but then something else happens. Let's say there's some type of increased difficulty of some kind, and it's not environmental and it's not consequential.
So maybe the first time that you tried and you failed a little bit, you alerted some guards.
Mm-hmm.
And now guards are showing up while you're trying to do it.
Nope, that would be black die. That would be setback die.
Okay.
Something
So
makes
what
it
would
more
be?
difficult. Let's say I screwed up the first time and more weight got added onto the damn thing.
Okay. It's during a cave-in, so the more times you screw up, more caves in.
Then you might change one of the purple dice into a red die. The red die does for the purple what the yellow does for the green. It has more disadvantages to it, more negative pips, but it has the despair symbol. And the despair symbol is a critical failure symbol. It means that something very bad happened. Let's say if I rolled it and the despair symbol shows up,
Oh, like that.
and the despair symbol shows up, I might have hurt myself, or hurt one of my friends, or screwed it up really bad by moving this. I've unearthed a gas node that's filling the entire place with gas, and we only have so much long to get out, or else we'll all die, and things of the sort. So that's essentially the rolling system in a nutshell. That's how it works for the most part.
Seems fairly simplistic, to be honest.
It is very simplistic. During combat, there's also some alterations. Like, if you fight enemies, some enemies will have abilities, like, based on their threat level. So, say for example, you were fighting an experienced Sith Lord or an Inquisitor, and they have a certain threat level to them. That means that by default, they automatically upgrade negative dice based on the threat level.
Holy
So if he has a threat level of 2 of these purples get turned into 2 reds.
Or red, I mean.
So, it makes things way more dangerous for you. But, of course, although
that would never happen in the game.
I would have kicked the shit out of whatever I found there, which is, it would have ended up, this roll here that I just did would have ended up being 3 successes, 2 advantage, and a triumph in the final count.
So you beheaded Kylo Ren.
Now, when you roll a triumph or a despair, they count as a success or a failure in addition to a critical event.
So you literally just beheaded Kylo Ren.
No, I wouldn't have beheaded Kylo Ren, but the fight would definitely have gone my way.
Yeah.
So for the most part, that's how the system works. Combat is like that. You take damage. You have wounds and fatigue. Fatigue is like your standard hit points. Hit points work here is a little different. It's, again, like I said, very cinematic. So for your hit points, you have what's called your wounds and your strain, and then you have a soak value. Your strain is like your actual mental damage. It's like fatigue and you're taxing your mind too much, or you're stressing out, or things of the sort. Mm-hmm. And then your wounds is your actual physical damage. But how the wounds work in this game is it's not necessarily you can take a blaster shot and take so much to your wounds, but you have 2 types of wounds. You have your regular wounds and your threshold wounds.
Okay.
So you can take so much damage to your regular wounds, which is like, the bolt deflected off my armor. I took a little bit of damage, but it didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Or
scorch mark
things like that, or a scorch mark, or the bolt, sort of misses. But the moment you take a set of damage to your threshold, then it's an actual hit. So let's say you were fighting with lightsabers. How it's represented is it bypasses that type of stuff automatically and goes straight to your deep wounds. So that's why it's so dangerous. It bypasses your armor, your resistances. There are 6 characteristics to your character. Brawn, physical power, obviously. Agility, physical speed. Intellect, which is your smarts. Your cunning, which is kind of like your wits.
Which is your Han Solo tribute.
Mm-hmm. Willpower, which is your strength of mind. And finally, presence, which is like your charisma, like your force of personality. There are a series of skills, too many for me to name right here. I just don't want to waste the time with it. And there are other more specialized skills that you can get. Now, each of the different games have a different flavor, obviously.
Do they work together?
They can work together, but everyone has to adhere to their own system. Each game has a kind of a weird morality type of system.
Okay.
In Edge of Empire, it's debt. You are indebted to someone, some way, somehow, and it negatively impacts you. So, like, either there's a bounty on your head and you have to try and pay it off, or you owe someone a favor, or you're on the run, or something of the sort.
Okay.
In Age of Rebellion, it's your duty to the rebels, to the Rebel Alliance for the most part. It's basically you owe the Rebel Alliance something, and it's your duty to serve it, to do something with it. So, if your duty is that you're a spy for the Rebel Alliance, you go and do the spy thing.
All gung ho, essentially.
And then finally, in Force and Destiny, it's actually a gray and light side morality vein. So there's like, again, it's all stuff like that. Like you have a family member that you protect and things of the sort. And the more you do that, the further up the light side you go. And then there's the dark part of morality. So you're full of anger. Like there's kind of like a virtue.
Can you be
vice.
Sith? Can you become a Sith?
You can become a dark side force user. You have to understand that Sith isn't so much a class, it's a philosophy. You're a dark side force user. You are a member of the Sith. It's an organization, a thing like that. It's not like a class. You're just basically a type of force user, and you just happen to be dark side. That's just what a Sith is. You can go dark side if you want, but there are severe penalties to going dark side if the rest of your team is light side. and eventually the dark side will consume it. It will eat away at you from the inside.
You'll become Darth Vader.
Yeah, like it will.
He didn't start off as a giant piece
The
of shit.
mechanics are there for it. So yeah, you get your
Be
stats.
an interesting troll for the party, though.
You get your stats, you get your race. Then after you've picked your race, there are dozens and dozens of races now because there's been all kinds of supplements released. So when you get your race, your species start with a baseline set of abilities, and then after that you get a bunch of other bonuses. So like in this game, in Age of Rebellion, there's Bothans, there's droids, Doros, Gran, which is the three-eyed guys. Those of you who do not know who they are. There's humans, there's Athorians, which are like the slug guys, Mon Calamari, which is General Akbar, and Salustan, which is the dude who was flying the ship with Lando during the second Battle of the Death Star, the Battle of Yavin. Now, each of these races will get a set of pips, a set of bonuses based on what their races are like. So, for example, if you were one of the Mon Calamari, you would start with a 2 in brawn, a 2 in agility, a 3 in intellect, a 1 in cunning, a 2 in willpower, and a 2 in presence. So those are the stats. So for example, if they wanted to make a raw intellect roll, they would roll 3 green.
So it seems like, for the ones that I've seen anyway, the base stat is 2 for everything, but whatever you're proficient in, they'll just bump up 1, and whatever you're not proficient in, they'll just bump down 1. So usually they'll do 1 stat for each, right? Pretty
much. The only exception to the rule is droids. Droids, you start with a 1 across the board, and you get more XP at starting, and you get to customize your stats with the XP.
I love the fact that you can even be a droid. I think
because you're a droid. Yeah.
The more you learn.
Yeah. Then they tell you how much they start with a wound threshold. So in this case, Mon Calamari starts with 10 plus their brawn score. Their strain threshold, they start with 10 plus their willpower score, and then they have 100 experience to spend on stuff. Then they have a special ability. Mon Calamari begin the game with 1 rank in knowledge education. They may not train knowledge education above rank 2 during character creation. Their other ability, they're amphibious. Mon Calamari can breathe underwater without penalty and never suffer movement penalties for traveling through water. So every race has little advantages like this that just, sometimes they'll get a better stat or something of the sort. Then you have your classes. Then you pick your class. When you pick your class, there's a bunch of different ones per book. There's usually 1 that governs each stat. So there's about 6 classes per book.
Okay.
So the ace,
I'm
which
assuming
is
cunning.
Probably. I don't remember. I'd have to look at it in deeper detail.
I just felt like my name.
Yeah. So the ace is essentially a starfighter pilot. So you do a bunch of starfighter piloting. There's the driver, which is planet-based driving. There's gunner, which is
Chewbacca, Luke, anybody who ever used the Millennium Falcon guns.
Yeah, and then there's pilot, which is essentially like flying. And
that would be Poe Dameron, okay.
And astrogating and things like that, flying through space. Then the next class is commander. So when you pick a class, you then have a specialization that you pick. There are 3 specializations, and I just named the 3 ace ones. So driver, gunner, and pilot.
Okay.
Then you have, for example, the next tree is the commander class. The commander specializations are Commodore, which is basically you are specialized at commanding a capital ship and a lot of people. Squadron leader, so you're really good at ship combat, but you're a leader. The commander class is all leadership, right?
Okay.
And then tactician, you're more on the ground guy. So those are the different class trees for those. Then there's a diplomat.
It's like Admiral Akbar.
Admiral Akbar, he would be
commander.
He would probably be he'd
I was going to say he'd be the Commodore guy.
So then you have
every time you mention one of the classes, I'm trying to put it together in my head.
Then you have diplomats. The diplomat have specialties ambassador, agitator, and quartermaster. So ambassador is essentially a diplomatic character. Agitator is the opposite of a diplomatic character. You're someone who wants to go in there and stir the shit. And then quartermaster is someone who can get people the stuff they need.
So agitator, in my opinion, would be General Dooku.
Count Dooku would
I know he's also a Jedi Force user.
He has the.
But if you had to classify him just as one of the,
he has the Force user version of it.
Of that, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Try not to think of Force users for these classes because
that's why I wasn't. I was just using General Dooku not as a Force user.
But if you really want to, Leia's an ambassador.
Yeah, Padme was too.
Leia's ambassador. Padme is. Then after that, you have the engineer. So you have mechanic, saboteur, and scientist.
The mechanic would be I can't remember his name.
Mechanical
the
repairs.
guy who worked on Anakin's.
Chewie's an amazing mechanic.
Let's say the guy who worked on Anakin's speeder.
Anakin?
No, but the other one who owned it.
Watto?
Yeah.
No, Watto is just a gambler. He's a scoundrel.
He didn't work
He's
on
in the
anything.
scoundrel book.
He's in scoundrel. Is he really?
Yes.
Okay. That's
He's
awesome.
he has races in there. In Age of Empire.
I kind of want to play that race.
Yeah, they're okay.
Oh, they'd probably be terrible.
So yeah, so mechanic repairing things, saboteur, which is
blowing shit up.
Like,
the exact opposite.
And then scientist, which is like an inventor type of class. Then you have soldier.
There's a lot of fucking feats involved with those.
Yeah, that's the trees. I'll explain them after. Then there's the soldier. So soldier specializations. Commando. You're an attack guy. Medic. You're a healer. Sharpshooter. You're like a sniper. So you're more of a sneakier soldier. Then there's the spy. Infiltrator. Scout. And slicer. So infiltrator is basically you go undercover. Scout is you try to
find out from afar, maybe track people, whatever.
And slicer is you're essentially some type of computer hacker.
So you're Mr. Robot.
I've noticed that slicer, if done right, is kind of ludicrous. Especially during the beta, I found that the right slicer could hack anything. Like they get so many advantages going down the tree for hacking. Like I had a guy who literally like
didn't he hack a hut?
No matter what I put in front of him, no matter how hard I made it, he had so many skills and abilities that just neutralized the negative dice that he would just succeed at anything he could. He hacked the Death Star computer.
Wasn't and I don't remember if this is you or if it was Corey, but wasn't there somebody who hacked a Hut bank account and walked off with?
That's old. That's the old Star Wars. That's not even this one. It's D20 Star Wars.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Yeah, it's basically.
I just remember that story.
They were playing a couple scoundrels. They're two. I was running a game. They were playing a couple scoundrels, and they stole a cred stick from a Twi'lek on a planet when he was gambling. Then they took the cred stick and they hacked it, and they found that they had like a ludicrous amount of credits, like 500,000 credits, like something insane. And they're like, oh my god, we're rich. And they just started spending it like crazy. They bought a ship, they bought speeders, they customized all their gear, they went nuts. Like, they went just crazy. And then about 2 sessions later, they got ambushed and attacked by several scoundrels and all the time, and they managed to get away, and at the end they found out that there was an APB out on them. The Twi'lek they stole from was Bib Fortuna, and that cred stake belonged to Jabba. So now they had a bounty on by Jabba for 500,000 credits, which is what they stole from him. So it was very interesting.
The one thing I love about Star Wars is because we're all so familiar with it. Like, because anybody who's going to play this is familiar with it, at least somewhat. It's a very familiar concept of a character, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. I mean, every one of us has imagined whether we could be a Jedi or living in the Star Wars universe, so it's kind of interesting to see what they've turned it into. The D20 system wasn't terrible, but I would say this is by far better.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's apples and oranges. There's still people who swear by the old D6 from the 80s.
I didn't know there was a D6 game.
Yeah, it's pure D6s. A lot of people just swear by them. So, again, you have the Force of Destiny is the same idea. There's a Jedi class for each stat, a series of species. Human, Saurian, which is what Ki-Adi-Mundi was, Keldor, which is what Master Plo Koon was, Miralan, which is what... It's the green people.
Fucking orc.
No, it's the green people with the tattoos all over their face.
I know.
I don't remember what her
like
name is. There was a Jedi chick that was one of them.
I know which one you're talking about.
A Nautolan, which is like Kit Fisto, a Togruta, which is like Ahsoka Tano, Twi'lek, self-explanatory, and a Zabrak, which is Darth Maul's race. And then you have a class for each stat, and each class has
their own talent tree.
Their own 3 talent trees, but all of them have something in common. All the talent trees are like balanced talent tree.
Okay.
Lightsaber fighting talent tree, and pure force using talent tree. So they all split up like that. So like the consular, the Jedi consular class, they have the healer, which is the balanced version.
Okay.
Balanced class. They have the Neiman disciple, which is Neiman is the name of the fighting style they use
For the lightsaber class.
for the lightsaber fighting. And then they have the Sage, which is
That just sounds Force user.
Force user.
Yeah.
You know. Then you have the Guardian, the Jedi Guardian. There's the Peacekeeper, which is nice and balanced. Then you have the Protector, which is heavy Force user. And then you have the Soresu Defender, which is the lightsaber combat. Then you have the Mystic. The Mystic, you have the Advisor, the Makashi Duelist, and then the Seer, which is the Force user. Then you have a Seekers, a Taru Striker, which is the combat style, the Hunter, which is their balance class, and then the Pathfinder, which is their Force user. Then you have the Sentinel. The Sentinel has Artisan, Shadow, and Xian Expert. Xian is the fighting style. Then the Warrior, which has the Aggressor, the Starfighter race, which is the Jedi pilot class, and then you have the Shi-Cho Knight, which is the Shi-Cho fighting style. And
Shi-Cho?
each of these govern a specific class, and each of them a specific stat, and they all have advantages that way. Now, the thing about the different types of morality in the game is you can use all of them, and I tried doing it. I tried running a game where people use the morality from the first book, and the morality from the second book, and the morality from the third book. But in the end, it gives you 3 fucking things that you need to keep track of all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It really gets annoying. So I would say pick one. Whichever the majority of the players have, pick that one, unless you have Jedi and Force users. If you have Jedi and Force users, use the Force and Destiny one, because it is an alignment-based thing more than anything else. Basically, when you're a Force user, you pick a Vice and a Virtue type of thing, and the more you do your Vice, the more you go along your Vice, you go closer to the dark side. The more you indulge in your Virtue, you become more light side.
Okay.
Now, the other mechanic in the game that's really important is the Force Point mechanic. There's a pool of points at the beginning of the game that's shared by the DM and the players. This is where these Force die come in the most often. At the beginning of the game, no matter what setting you're using, no matter which book you're using, you roll the die, and every player rolls the die at least once, and it generates a number of Force Points that are going to be used during the game. So let's say there's 4 players playing. First player rolls 2 light side. Next player rolls 2 dark side. Next player rolls 1 dark side, and the last player rolls 2 light side. That means that for this game, there will be 4 light side points and 3 dark side points at the beginning, which is just a pool of tokens that are flippable from light side to dark side.
Okay.
You have to find a way to do that to keep track of it. Now, what these tokens do is they help you in a jam. Like the Force is with you, or they can alter a roll for you, or things like that. Let's say your party ends up on a planet, and you can alter the narrative with them. Let's say your party ends up on a planet, the atmosphere is slightly toxic to all your party members, and you guys are like, "Uh-oh, we can't disembark," and then someone spends a Force point and says, "Oh, it's a good thing spend a light side Force point," and they say, "Oh, it's a good thing I forgot. I remembered to bring those rebreathers from the space station."
Mm-hmm.
So now the party is like, "Oh yeah, that's good," and then they all have rebreathers, so you can breathe in the environment.
I'm glad you
Now,
remembered that.
You take the light side point and you flip it over, and it becomes a dark side point. So now the balance of the dark side to the light side is 3 light side and 4 dark side. Now, how the DM uses the DM uses the dark side points to kind of increase difficulty for things. So let's say I am rolling. Let's say we go back to that example where they're running from a bunch of stormtroopers and they need to lift this gate. So the gate's difficulty 2, and he has 3 dice to do it. As a GM, I can just spend a dark side point and say, I increase the difficulty of your roll, turning one of these purples into a red, making it harder for him. And he just rolls that, and we see what the results are. Consequently, players can do that too, but you can only do it once per any roll. Just once. So you might be thinking, well, what if players just hoard the points until it comes time to use them? Well, there are mechanics in the game that can punish players for hoarding. The game is supposed to flow that way. You're supposed to spend the points frequently, all the time, back and forth. It really helps the narrative. It really helps the players have more fun and pull off some more amazing stuff. And it lets the DM just increase the difficulty when he needs to.
Yeah. Nobody likes a cakewalk.
No, it's no fun. Where's the challenge?
That's it.
There's no fun there.
Especially when you're playing in a world of Star Wars. Jesus. How many good guys get murdered all the time?
Uh-huh. So, that's essentially everything in a nutshell. I could go in more details about the morality systems and how those work. But, yeah, the basis for your character is it's a point-based system. You start with your stats based on your race. Then your class gives you a certain number of skills for free. And then you spend your XP. There are options at the beginning where you can take more of the morality, like say the obligation in Edge of Empire. It's called obligation. You can take more points in obligation at the beginning of the game to either start the game with more credits or with more XP.
That's fair. Okay.
You know, but your obligation. So the morality system kicks in at the beginning of each session. DM rolls a percentage die. Everyone's morality, depending on what system they are, have a number assigned to them. Usually it's around 5%. It starts with 5, but it can go up to 10 or 15 or whatever, depending on how much more of this morality you go in. So the DM rolls a percentage die, and whichever player the percentage comes under, his morality or his obligation or his duty is in effect for this game. So this game will revolve around that.
Okay.
So if you succeed at the duty, you increase your duty. If you buy off your obligation, you decrease your obligation. And in the morality system with Force and Destiny, is if you accomplish your virtue more, you get more morality points, which bring you closer to the light side. Now, you'd be wondering, what's the difference between light side and dark side? When you do light side, if you go on the light side, you get more force points at the beginning of the game.
Shit.
For a light side user. If you go towards the dark side, yeah, you'll get a lot of quick and easy power, but you get more dark side points.
Which could be a lot more beneficial for the DM as opposed to the players.
Exactly. And until you get, like, the morality scale goes from 100 to 0. Anything above a 70 is considered light side. Anything below a 30 is considered dark side. And anything in the middle is gray. So once you go below 30, you're a dark side user, and then you can start using dark side points. But if you start using dark side points,
you're going to become worse and worse.
Yeah,
eventually,
worse
I'm assuming the insanity might catch on.
Yeah, there's like a madness stat, and it actually
can it
starts
kill you?
Physical stat. Yeah, it starts draining your physical stats away.
Wow.
Well, I mean, look at Emperor Palpatine. That's a perfect example,
perfect example. I'm guessing Snoke from the new sequels.
I know it's not, but with where he has the cut and the scar and everything, did it not look like Darth Vader? He had the cut in the exact same fucking place that Darth Vader had it across his face in the movie. I know it's not. I'm saying there's no way it is, because apparently this race is like fucking giant. If they're making it out to be actually what the hologram was.
Oh, I don't know.
But either way, it had a cut right in the same spot. The first thought I had was, holy fuck,
I don't
want them to bring Vader back. There's no need to.
I don't want to expand on it in any way, shape, or form. I'm not gonna...
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna find it out.
We'll watch it. We'll watch it when we do.
I avoided the trailers for the first one.
We've got Rogue One this year, and then next year, Episode 8.
Rogue One is looking phenomenal.
And then the year after that, I think, is the Han movie.
Yep. Han Solo, and then the year after that is Episode 9, and then the year after that is the Boba Fett movie.
Yeah. So, I'm sure Disney's going to make one of these every fucking year.
Well, so apparently after episode 9, that is going to be the official ending of that, but they are going to do more flashback movies as well on more characters, because apparently people want a lot of different characters done.
Well, the thing that got me most excited this year was they announced the villain for the new Star Wars Rebels season, which is Admiral Thrawn. So he is now canon. Huzzah! Although he's way earlier in the canon than he was in the novels. In the novels,
apparently a lot of people are super happy that he's officially canon.
Thrawn was awesome.
Yeah.
Thrawn was a fantastic character. Intelligent, a good, strong thinking villain, a strategist, a leader, and a lot of people actually liked him overall as a character instead of just... He wasn't necessarily a bad guy.
He was a charismatic anti-hero.
No, he wasn't
like
a villain.
Yeah.
He did some pretty nasty things, but he wasn't in it for the evils. He was in it because it was his duty as an admiral, and he had to do the best he could, and he was very good at what he did.
Yeah.
Like his gimmick, you know what his gimmick is, right?
No, actually I don't.
The reason why he's so good is he collects artifacts and art and stories and things from a race that he's going to go fight, and he studies all of them, and by studying all of that, he figures out a way to beat them strategically.
Jesus.
That's how smart he is. That's his gimmick. That's
I
what
need
he
to
does.
read that storyline.
That's what he does. The Thrawn trilogy, it's up there. It takes place immediately after
Apparently
the
I have
movies,
something in
like the original movies.
I am sorry, guys.
But it's not canon anymore. So the new Thrawn stuff, but it seems like from the previews I've seen, it seems like he's going to go the same route. He's going to be the same way.
I hope so. Like, at least keep the personality the same. That's what people fell in love with.
That's what people loved. And I'm sure the people who are... The thing is that's why I want it to Disney to own it, because I don't mind it, because Disney essentially put people who love Star Wars in charge of Star Wars.
Yeah. It wasn't somebody who felt obligated to create Star Wars anymore.
Yeah. Like, I'm willing to bet that everyone who's working on Star Wars now, from a writing perspective, from a production perspective,
hated Jar Jar Binks. I'm willing to bet
loves Star Wars.
Yeah.
And who else better to put it in the hands of than someone who loves? And, and it's maybe people who are smart enough not to Mary Sue the shit out of it. Right? I mean, because that sucks.
I feel like a fucking pirate right now. I'm a space pirate.
Anyways.
I'm Han Solo.
So outside of the core books, every supplement, every system has a few supplements released for them. For the most part, they're either new class and equipment that are specific to the type of setting, or a bunch of the flavor specific to the setting.
Awesome.
And then there's specific class books. So, for example, this was the first Force and Destiny supplement that came out, called Keeping the Peace, and it's a source book for the Jedi Guardian class from Force and Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So it offers 3 new paths for the Jedi class.
There you go.
For that Jedi class specifically. So there's going to be a one for every class, basically, because they've already done it with Edge of Empire. There's like one for bounty hunters, this one for this one for this.
Okay.
This. So
it just adds additional flavor to those classes.
Yeah, and then you have something like Nexus of Power, and this is a guide that's specific to Force and Destiny, and it talks about places in the Empire, in the galaxy, that are more attuned to the Force. So there's like a chapter on Dagobah, there's a chapter on the Jedi Temple in Coruscant, there's a chapter on a whole bunch of different worlds that have a special connection, special unique connection to the Force, and and why that is, and how it works.
Cool.
And so the people who have been working on these have been doing their homework. They've been doing very, very well with it. This is my collection so far, but I know people who have Edge of Destiny have used it separately. And of course, they release
Little adventure modules.
Little adventure modules.
Like every other RPG.
Yeah, I think this one came with the starter. No, it came with the DM screen. This one came with the Age of Rebellion DM screen. So it's just a little adventure for Age of Rebellion and the DM screen. The DM screen, of course, will have everything you need. I've never seen DM screen more invaluable to a game than the Star Wars RPG ones, the new Star Wars RPG ones. They have like a full listing of everything that the different abilities can do and everything the different things. So like all of the advantages and disadvantages, what they do in combat, like just quick references and things of the sort. Overall, I give the entire line so far 3.5. It can get a little clunky. There are balancing issues.
I just want to toss out the fact that we actually were ranking our board games out of 10, and then we were ranking our RPGs out of 5 so far.
Yeah, there's a lot less to an RPG than a board game.
Touche.
I would rank it at the line overall 3.5 out of 5. It's kind of weird when you have the different games together. They have they're the exact same.
It can
system.
overcomplicate it a little bit.
No, it's not that. It's that when you're Force user class, you have to spend your XP points on your. You get another talent tree in addition to your regular class talent tree. You get your Force power talent trees, so you have to spend XP on your class and your Force powers. Whereas every other class, if you're not a Force user, you spend it just on your class abilities. So those people get way better at their classes than a Jedi or any of the Force users would. So it does create a bit of an unbalance in the game where you're like, someone's like, oh, I can hack the shit out of this computer, and then the Force user's like,
I'd rather just control the damn computer.
I can type on a QWERTY, but hey, I can swing this lightsaber like a champ. But the thing is you'd think that, they would learn more about how to fly a starship. So
I can't rate it myself just because I haven't actually played it yet.
Yeah.
I've done a ton of research. It seems amazingly fun. I just haven't played it yet.
It is a lot of fun. So there is definitely some balancing issues that need to be worked out. They can be worked out with house rules. You can find the Fantasy Flight Game forums an amazing resource for these. For the most part, I like it way better than my rating would say. It's just I have to be objective.
Yeah.
But it's really good. The people have really done the research.
It's not perfect, but it's good.
And anything in these books is canon. This is all official canon. All of it.
Disney approved.
Disney approved. Disney Lucasfilm approved. Which is why I like it so much. Myself, out of the 3 games that have been released so far, I prefer Force and Destiny, but I'm a sucker for the Force. And I love Force user, Jedi's, lightsabers, the whole thing.
Which one brought Wookiees in?
Wookiees is from the beginning.
That's
Wookiees
my favorite one.
Wookiees is an Edge of Empire, but again, even though you don't...
But I can make a Wookiee a Jedi by using the last book.
Here's the thing. You don't have to use the races and the classes from each book specifically in each book.
That's what I mean. I can make a Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah, you can take all the races from the first book and you make Force users out of them. You can take all the races from the Force user book and make all scoundrels out of them, and you can do the Age of Rebellion stuff.
Yeah.
You can mix it all up. You're allowed to do that. The system is compatible that way. The thing that the system isn't compatible in the system is the morality. You have to pick one.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It'll just make the game a lot smoother for the DM.
It will. It'll make it smooth for the DM.
That's what I meant by overcomplicated earlier. If you're using all 3, it's going to be overcomplicated.
It was. It was really difficult to keep track of. It was very, very annoying. Individual ratings.
Don't rate each one individually. Put them in order of preference.
In order of preference, Force and Destiny on top, Age of Empire second, and Age of Rebellion in third. Not that Age of Rebellion is necessarily worst, it's just that I like the Force users, I like the shady side of the galaxy.
The good guys are kind of boring.
More than the Rebel Alliance.
I won't say
side.
Good guys, because Jedis are good.
No,
too.
it's
you know what I mean.
The Rebel Alliance.
That's what I mean.
It's like
but Jedis are good guys too.
The point of Age of Rebellion is you are part of the Rebel Alliance. To be quite honest, they have yet to actually release a pure Empire supplement.
I'd play it.
I'd love to play members of the Empire. I'd love to run a game for people who are part of the
purposely
Empire.
fucking create Jar Jar Binks, the Sith Lord. Darth Banks.
You don't want me to talk about that. Don't let me talk about that theory, because we'll be here for another fucking hour.
No, we're good.
So yeah, ultimately, you can buy them at your local game store. They are expensive. The main books, the big boys, here.
They're from fucking Disney. Of course they're expensive.
No, it's just more of the same. I talked about it a couple weeks ago in the Game It All podcast. These are $80. The main rule books, they're $80. If you can find it for cheaper than $80,
Amazon.
Please do it. But I'm always one to say support your local game store, because I'm a big proponent for that, for supporting your local businesses. But holy sweet Jesus, these things are expensive. Even the little books, like these little supplements here, which are about a third of the size, these are 40 to 60, depending. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's a game that I will love to play because Phil owns it, but I will never buy it myself.
Well, I mean, if you love it, buy it.
No, I don't. Nope. I don't love anything enough to spend $80 on it.
Here's the thing about every single RPG, though. It pays itself off. Like,
if you have enough friends to play.
If you play it and have fun playing it, it pays itself. All you need is one amazing campaign.
I suppose you're going to spend $80 buying a video game nowadays.
Yeah, all you need is one amazing campaign, and it has paid itself off. And now, any other amazing campaign you throw out thereafter is bonus. It's just gravy on top of the poutine, as it were.
I do like poutines.
Mm-hmm. So I would recommend, like, if you're willing to part with $80 for a good RPG game, I would say do it. Pick which one you prefer, which one part of the Star Wars galaxy you want to more be involved with. I'm definitely going to pick up the Force Awakens supplement. The new. It's basically another core like this. It's another one of the $80 bad boys. Sadly. I still have to pick another copy of Seventh Sea, but it's another one of the $80 bad boys. It's going to be because it already has a beginner's set out, which is about $40, and it's like a bare bones rule book, a little adventure, and a set of dice.
Jesus. It's a good way to get your set of dice, though, because you're going to spend $23 for them outside of it, so might as well just buy the $40 one.
Yeah, but then when you buy the core rule book, which has like double the stuff in it, you know, I mean. In the end, it's up to you. You can always just buy the app for the dice. The app, as far as I've seen, is amazing at randomizing. Marty used it, and it was like, no problem. He'd fuck up royally sometimes. He'd succeed amazing, or he would just be like nice and neutral. Like it's
a fair dice rolling.
It's a fair dice rolling app. I have no complaints about it. So yeah, Fantasy Flight Games is. Really making a lot of strides and a lot of positive things in the gaming world right now. They're definitely a company to keep an eye on, and their Star Wars product is very, very good. I highly recommend this to anyone who wants to try it. Again, overall, the system 3.5, specifically Force and Destiny, I like the best out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
If anything was bringing up the average, it would be this one. That's all there is to it. So yeah.
Your thanks?
So I'd like to thank Game It All, and once again for giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys and review these wonderful games. Our next review will be tinged with madness, as we will be reviewing games flavored by the world of H.P. Lovecraft.
Cthulhian, some might say. Or Lovecraftian would make more sense. But still,
yeah,
Cthulhian.
Brace yourselves for madness.
And by the time you guys are watching this podcast and viewing it online, tune in tomorrow to the Game It All Facebook group to finally hear the big reveal.
No, it's Friday.
Yes, this airs on Thursdays at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Tune in tomorrow morning to find out who they will be interviewing. It's going to be an exciting time.
Big name in the world of Supernatural.
Huge. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. My name is Fat Adam.
I'm Phatter Phil with a PH.
We'll be back next week.
And this is All on the Table.